How's it going, everybody? Austin Carter here with Attack Line Leather. Today we're going to jump into Procreate on my tablet. We're going to do some custom artwork, and I'm going to show you how you can make your very own custom paint brushes to make your tooling look realistic in Procreate. I hope y'all stick around. So we're going to jump into Procreate. We're going to go to Gallery. We're going to create a new piece of artwork. So I'm going to go to the Untitled canvas, which is 8.5 by 11 inches. And we're going to get started. I'm just going to do a basic design. I'm going to start by laying out my circles. I kind of went over this in my previous video. If you haven't seen that, go back a few videos and you're going to see my tips and tricks video that I posted that from my tablet in Procreate. And so for here, I'm just going to go to sketching brush. We'll just do peppermint. That's what's currently on in my settings. And we're going to just do a basic circle. We're going to hold and tap. And now you have your initial layout. All right. And that's going to be layer 1. From here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add instead of a flower, I'm going to do like a middle cactus, like I tend to do in a lot of my videos. And so this is just kind of the rough SketchUp using the blue. And again, just for the sake of the length of this video, I'm going to go pretty quickly. So obviously you want to take your time with this. So there's our basic layout right there. Now I'm going to come over here. We're going to create a new layer. We're going to go to our black. And I'm going to go to inking and Baskervilles. And then we're going to really start kind of filling in the lines and getting a little bit more particular. I tend to not worry too much. So this will be the cactus will be one layer, and then we'll create another layer to do the vine work. So that way, if we do have to go back and erase, we're erasing 2 different layers, and we don't have to worry about kind of the rough edges and things like that. All right, so there's the cactus all drawn up. We're going to go up and create a new layer. And then we can get a little bit more serious on doing the floral design. Alright, so there we have that, and we can get rid of that blue background, and then we can kind of clean up everything right here. And so I really like to kind of have my tooling overlap each other. It gives it kind of that 3D effect and gives it some depth. And so we'll start with the tooling. We'll hit our eraser, make sure we're at appropriate size, and then we'll just start erasing what we feel like we want to have covered. And so like right here, we'll just kind of clean that up. Let's see, it's gonna be anything kind of obvious we're gonna touch up. All right, now we're gonna go to the cactus. We're gonna clean that up. I make everything look pretty decent. So what I've done is I've taken some stamps and I've tapped them into a scrap piece of leather. What I'm going to do is take a picture of it with my iPad, and we're going to upload that into Procreate. Right, so we have our basic pattern, but we need to create some custom stamps to make it seem a little bit more realistic. All right, so I'm going to go to Gallery. I'm going to create a new canvas. We're going to pick the square. All right. And what we're going to do is we're going to go back into our gallery. We're going to add, insert a photo. We're going to insert that one we took of the stamps. We're going to bring the opacity down just a little bit so we can kind of see what we're working with here. And I'm going to start with something basic. So it's going to be this stamp right here. I'm going to create a new layer. I'm going to pick the brush. I'm just going to stick with the Baskerville. What I'm going to do is I'm going to thicken that up a little bit. I'm going to create that. We're going to hide that now. You're going to make sure that you want to use black ink for this. All right. We're going to go in here, share, save as a JPEG, and save image. We're going to come up to brushes. We're going to scroll all the way down in our brush library, and we're going to create a new one. Okay. And we're going to rename this one. You can name it whatever you want, but I'm going to name it Leather Stamps. All right, good to go. So we have our leather stamps in our library, but now we got to create one. So we're going to go Add, we're going to go to Shape, we're going to go to Edit, we're going to go to Import. Import a photo. There's our stamp right there. And if y'all are wondering, this is a craft tool stamp, a V404. So that's the one we created. I'm going to double click to invert it, and we're going to hit done. And now you can see that we've created that, but we're going to need to fix this. So we'll do that next. So as you can see, we have our new stamp there, and we're drawing, and we've got a problem. There's a lot of them, and it's kind of not what we want. You can go up to drawing pad, clear drawing pad, and now we can start working on perfecting our stamp. So we can go up to stroke path, try this spacing. So as you decrease it, there's more. So we're going to go like all the way to 100%. So every click we do, we just do one. To clear that, we're going to come down to Apple Pencil. Okay, another thing that you'll notice is if you lightly tap And you might not be able to see it, but if you lightly tap or if you tap harder, that's the opacity is different based on your stroke. So to change that, we're going to bring the opacity all the way down. And now, no matter what, it's going to be a hard stamp. And now we can pretty much call that one done. And so, to use that one, we'll come up here, make sure we're using black. You can adjust the size like so. And so for each stamp, you're going to want to use a different layer so we can go back and erase if need be. And so, like, for instance, you come in here, you want that to be smaller. Again, this is going to take some finesse, but you can come in here and you can add. Obviously, you can't tilt this tool. Normally, you'd be able to tilt it. But since you can't, you can kind of recreate how you'd like that. Again, just erase the whole thing if you don't like it. Maybe you come in like this and kind of readjust it. But I mean, it's really not time consuming. You think, oh, there's a lot of erasing, but I mean, you go in here and you just, kind of knock out everything. And again, you're going to get better. I'm going to get better. This is pretty new for me also. You come in and, create your own little routine, just like you do in tooling. The other thing you can do is if you don't want to use that, you can just go back to like your Baskerville and you can, maybe resize and create your own little cuts. It might be easier on you. It might be a little less uniform depending on what you want to do with this. Again, if you're just, drawing up a quick little something for a client, it might not be a problem, but oops. All right. We got that done. Next, let's just move on to like some shading. Didn't really add in like a thumbprint. So what I'll probably do is just use my Baskerville inking, but to get kind of that shaded effect, we're going to bring the opacity down. Let's start at 40. The reason you bring the opacity down and not just the color necessarily is because if you do want to say go darker, like over, say you do like your shading first, and then you want to take your stamp and go over it a little smaller. There we go. So we're going to get our shading in there. The great thing with this is with the Apple Pencil, you can really like taper off everything really nicely. The quick tip is if you connect everything, you can just drag and drop so it's nice and quick there. Remember, the harder you press, the thicker the brush will be based on your settings. All right, so that's basically all the floral done. And now if we want, we can kind of come in here and do a little bit of the shading. Remember, we're also kind of trying to create the appearance of some 3D. So don't forget to kind of shade up around where the tooling meets each other, like so. All right. We're going to call that good for now on the shading. Going to go back in, we're going to create another stamp. Again, go in, add, make a square. Now we're going to make a bar grounder. To be fairly simple, what we're going to do, we're just going to do like a 5 stud bar grounder. So we're going to create our circles, make them a little chunkier, and do a circle, hold. I feel that. But what we can do is just come to our layers, duplicate, 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 duplicate. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Over here, hit our select, and we're just going to one by one move them down. Everything should align. You can tap up. All right. We're going to call that good. So we're going to come here, shared, save, JPEG, save image. All right, we're going to go back to our original drawing. We're going to go up to brushes. We're going to go to our leather stamps. We're going to add. We're going to come down to shape, edit, import, import a photo. There we go. There's our bar grounder. Going to turn that to white. So tap. There we go. Done. Okay, and as you can see, we need to go back and kind of reassess and redo. So we can clear right there. We can go up to stroke path. We're going to do some of that. Let's do some spacing. So this might be one where we still, yeah. So we're going to keep this. Again, this is kind of new for me too. We're going to keep it to where it's one tap equals one hit, kind of just like on leather. So we're going to go down to Apple Pencil. We're going to bring the opacity all the way down so that it is a clear image stamp every time we hit. I'm going to hit done on that. All right, so we're going to use that. Come up here, make sure we're black. Let's see what the sizing looks like. Something's going on here. Ah, it's because we're still here. So create a new layer. Also, I might mention it might be helpful to label each thing. So for instance, layer 4 is our craft tool V404. And so we might go in there and do, CT 404. And we can kind of just understand which one's which. Go in here, rename it bar. All right. And let's start working with it. And so, one of the things that you'll be able to do, I believe, is readjust the size. Yeah. There we go. You'll be able to spin your, obviously every time you hit, it's going to be up and down, but you can rotate your work to get the appropriate angle. And we can start kind of filling it in. Let's see how that looks. Yeah, not bad, huh? And because we have a black background, you can kind of, bleed over the edge, and it's not too bad. And it actually goes pretty fast because you're not, super worried about staying in the lines like on leather. And, if you mess up, quick erase. Add in, I don't like that section, quick erase. And we'll fix it that way. And so you might take some time, to create your little, we'll call it your little stamp kit, in your uh, in your brush library. But you do it once and it's there, and so eventually, you're going to have your whole set of tools that you've come up with, and you might come up with some new ones. You might create your own, types of stamps. You might discover a new look through this, and might be super helpful with your actual tooling. All right, so those are just a couple. Let's do a new one, and we're going to rename this one Decorative Cuts, or Decorative just to keep it short. We're going to go back here. Let's go to inking. Let's do the Baskerville. Let's kind of make it, yeah, about that size. And so like I'm just going to kind of go back in, kind of how I would normally do with a swivel knife, and kind of make my decorative cuts. That. Again, this is also kind of just I know there's a lot of people that are starting to use digital art to push their work out there, and so I hope that this YouTube video helps or inspires you to try something new. I think it's pretty cool to use technology to our advantage to better grow the craft and the art form of leathercraft. I think this has really helped me kind of grow how I do things. It's definitely sped up my process. It definitely allows me to practice more, and kind of yields a nice product that, again, this is also saved on your tablet, so that if you decide to pull this off for some reason, I could print this off or trace this off, and boom, I've got a prefabbed template to go off of. All right, so let's do some little cactus burrs now. Yeah, it's kind of starting to look like a little something, huh? So I'm kind of thinking the shading is a little too dark for my liking, so I'm going to go back. I'm going to just lower the opacity just a little bit more, and I just want it to be a little bit more subtle. And again, you can try all kinds of stuff. I mean, we got all kinds of airbrushing might be a good, maybe like a soft brush. You can come over here to the side, and that might be a better option. Let's see what else we got. Charcoals. There we go. So maybe, doesn't feather very well, but maybe you like the style of the charcoal look. Might give it a little bit more, yeah, just a better feeling of a thumbprint, which was something I would like normally use in there. So maybe come in here and just kind of follow the path of your other one, and then you just come in there. You can erase that now. Nope. There we go. So for now, I think I'm going to call this video good. As you can see, you can go in there and kind of create your own stamp collection, and kind of just play around with everything. I kind of really liked how some of these were. Again, I just made these on the fly, so it didn't really take me that long. As soon as you get the hang of it, it goes a lot faster. And then the beauty of this is just you can just try all kinds of stuff. And so I really hope you all follow along, and see you on the next one. All right, y'all, that's going to do it for this video. I hope it inspires you. I hope that you gain some new information or some insights from it. I'd be really interested in to see y'all's ideas or the artwork that y'all come up with. Go ahead and shoot me an email with the pictures or something like that, or on Instagram. I'd like to see what y'all are up to. If you have any questions, go ahead and leave them in the comments. I'm learning just as much as y'all are. This is pretty new to me, but I kind of delved into it, and I'm starting to kind of use this, and I wanted to share it with y'all. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I really appreciate y'all, and I can't wait to start making more videos. Until next time, y'all have a great day.